Firstly, Eddie Reade. Eddie, how's it going?
Grand, Damien, thanks you.
Not at all. Good to talk to you, and thank you so much for coming down into the studio tonight. It's a very serious topic. It's a topic that affects communities all around the country and in the southeast. You're living in Carrick all your life, community-based activist.
Basically, yeah, that's what I do, yeah.
And tell us, how bad is the drug situation in certain parts of Carrick?
It's chronic. There's open drug use, open drug heroin injecting, completely blatantly open drug dealing in terms of coke, ketamine. Our secondary schools are riddled with coke and ketamine. And we started last year, when we had 2 suicides last year, which were drug related, and then we've had 3 this year, which were mental health related, of all of young men.
And those ones this year, like, there's nothing to associate them with any issues of drugs, but just mental health issues.
No, it's just the mental health issues, and
can affect,
and the drug issues affect the mental health issues. And just to give you a brief background, on Friday the 7th of June, one young man was found hanging in the locality of Carrick had just happened to be found by 3 of my first cousins. I came from his wake on the Monday night and got a phone call to go look for a friend of mine that I was helping with mental health issues that he had, and I found him about 10:15 that night.
And the horrendous things that happen regarding suicides, again, it's horrendous, and people can have different issues, but again, there's nothing with those suicides, nothing to link those with drugs issues. Yeah. In terms of the drugs, again, this hit the papers last week and hit the headlines in terms of somebody injecting heroin openly.
That's right, yeah.
Now, Carrick has made great strides over the years, and people in Carrick are very proud of their town.
Absolutely.
Carrick Beg people, very proud of Mullerins. We've got all the, and some really good work being done in the schools and by different people. The growth of drugs and drug use these days, how does it compare to years ago?
There's no comparison. Look, you can put it down to socio-economical problems, in that the town has no industry there. The biggest employer in the town is a supermarket, and that's something that the new group, the suicide prevention group that we set up, will be looking at and speaking to the council with. But there is no comparison to years ago.
It's worse, is it?
It's 100 times worse.
Why has it got so bad? Can it be people moving into an area? Can it be that social deprivation? Is it?
Well, there is the issue of social deprivation. There is the issue of mental health, and people basically using it as a painkiller, because there is no mental health facilities in Carrick or in Clonmel, for that matter, to deal with these issues.
Now, a lot of people obviously would have connections with Carrick in Waterford. Yeah. We've got people from different towns and villages that would have very close connections and relatives, and I know there's people listening to this morning in Carrick, because just on the border with, I suppose, Tipperary and Waterford, and a lot of connections there with it. Yeah. What's the situation regarding policing in Carrick?
The police that are in Carrick, the force that we have, we've got maybe, if we're lucky, we've got 2 Gardaí on, 3 Gardaí on to man Carrick at any one time.
Certain times, yeah.
The station is open between 3 and 6 most days. But I mean, it's a joke that there's actual drug dealing going on in the car park across from the guards barracks openly, because there's no Gardaí there. And
we've spoken to some guards, and they try their best, they say, but they need
Absolutely.
more. They need more resources. You get on well with the guards, yeah.
Pat Kelly, Ian Barrett, who's involved with Bose and that, and Mick Hubbard, Shane Roach, all these lads, they have the best interests of Carrick at heart, and they do try their hardest, but you can't man a station and look after a population the size of Carrick and its environs, and look after passports, and look after tax, and look out, all these little things. And as one guard said the other night, they get a phone call, there's a band guard there, she could be on her own in the station. If there's a fight up the main street, she has to wait for backup to come from Clonmel.
which is 20-25 minutes
20,
away.
25 minutes
and
away.
they could be busy at something else as well, because Clonmel
they're understaffed.
And they're understaffed as well, yeah. Because people, if they don't know it, Carrick is in the tip division. So you wouldn't, unless there was a reason to call in guards from Waterford, you wouldn't have guards coming from Waterford. Very rare. Barrett's, and it's a major thing, stuff, yeah. So it's guards coming from Clonmel. Like Matty McGrath over the years and recently talked about that. Calling for more guards into Clonmel, you were telling me.
Yeah, that's right.
There should be more guards.
He listened to us all last week on the radio, in newspapers, and he went on the radio last Friday and decided to say that we need more guards in Clonmel to feed down to Carrick, and we need a drug squad in Carrick until this situation is resolved. Like, the situation is not going to be resolved by putting a couple of drug squad on the street for a couple of days and picking up a few addicts. The addicts are not the problem. It's the dealers who are the problem. It's the people that everybody knows in the town who are the dealers. And my main gripe, and I've been increasingly angry since the incident on Monday the 10th, that I've gone through all this. I've seen somebody in that situation, and I know that the drugs lead to people being in that situation, even if it didn't lead to my friend being like that. And people are still treating these people who peddle their poison as normal parts of society. I mean, they're not normal parts of society, they're subhuman, they're putting our kids in graveyards, and that's the bottom line. And that's what I'm trying to get across to the politicians, to the Joint Police and Commission, and anybody who listen to us. Because
the issues that you raise regarding Carrick are the same issues that affect communities all over the country and in the southeast. So, for example, somebody just texted in about needles around St John's River this morning, shocked about that. You've health and safety issues, you've got the children, if there's needles lying around, and if somebody is an addict, the last thing that they're thinking of is health and safety. Absolutely. Look, the lads that were shooting up on the lane, that was all over social media, they get their hit, those needles are dropped. It's beside a very busy restaurant stroke public house. There's kids in there all the time. It's a shortcut for old people, especially. There's an estate just up above it where elderly live, and we can't blame the addicts. And I can't say that enough. We can't blame the addicts, especially heroin addicts. I mean, heroin is the greatest painkiller of all, and anybody that's gone to the extent of you putting that poison into their veins has a problem. But it's the people that are dealing. I mean, those men were outside a dealer's house, and she's known all over the town for being a dealer. And how does this make you feel, Eddie? Like, why do you bother with this? Well, I suppose I from the suicide point, I've always had an interest in mental health, and I mean, the first thing, being honest, the first people I called on Monday night after the emergency services, when I sat down and finished getting sick and crying and what have you, was the lads in the Darkness into Light committee they've been a rock to me the last couple of days. It's all things like, it's the Darkness into Light, St Patrick's Day. I just do it to try and improve the town, and it makes me angry that people in the town are peddling this stuff. What needs to be done apart from the Garda thing? Like, should there be marches on the streets? Should there be? Because remember in the 80s, Tony Gregory would organise stuff up in Dublin and get the drug dealers out of the communities, and people would say, you're only going to move it on to another area. But at least there was some action taken. There was some recognition of problems. Yeah, look, people are saying, since we started this last year, after we had a public meeting, 2 public meetings in the church, and you're getting the Snyder marks, look, everyone, there's going to be drugs in the town. I don't accept that. I don't accept that there has to be an environment where drugs are acceptable and where drugs can be used as blasé as they're being used. I mean, people are gone from smoking hash as a recreational drug to now using cocaine as a recreational drug, and ketamine it's a horse tranquilizer, for God's sake, and they're calling that a recreational drug. It's not. It's poison, the same as the coke that they're putting into their system. But it's part of an overall strand of what we're trying to do in the town to make it better with mental health in particular, because of the last 2 suicides. It's just that the lads have gone off on their own strands with getting leaflets ready and getting information ready on what to look for families and what kids should look out for when they're feeling down.
And the drugs issue is one that, because of my previous history with it, it's one that I've run with. And this is, look, it's highlighting the issue and it's getting it out there, so it doesn't really matter. I'm happy to run with it as part of the overall picture. You know, if it can stop somebody else opening a garage door like I did last Monday night and seeing what I saw and having to live with that every time I close my eyes and see it, then it's worth it.
And I know there's a lot of work being done, as I say, and as you say, with different groups, different individuals. The soccer club over there do great work.
Eamon, that's right, yeah.
Fabulous work with that.
And Eamon is actually involved with the new group.
Yeah. So, listen, Eddie, thanks for coming down this morning.
No problem, David.
Appreciate it. Listen to Eddie Reade.
Brilliant.
Send your texts and comments in, please, regarding this and the drugs issue, because it is a major issue affecting all different communities.
Absolutely, everywhere.